How's it going, guys? It's Najam. Welcome back to another video. Now in this video I'm going to review the Tempotec V1. Now it is windy outside, so sorry about the background noise. Okay, so this is the Tempotec V1. The first thing I want to talk about is the V1 versus the V1A, because they are very similar, but there's actually a big difference. So the V1, which is the one I have right here, has only the digital circuitry, and the V1A also has the analog circuitry as well as the digital circuitry. So what that means is the V1 can only process the files, and it can in a way only be used as a transport. So if I go ahead and turn on the Hugo 2 over here, it's going to say device connected. The V1A on the other hand, because it has the analog circuitry, it also has a DAC chip inside and also the op amp or the amp stage. And with that it can actually play the music files straight from the headphone jack. Now this is the V1, and so I'm just going to go ahead and turn the Hugo 2 off. The V1 doesn't have a headphone jack. It actually has a coaxial out on the bottom. So if you look at the bottom over here, it's got the coaxial out as well as a USB Type-C for audio out. And then looking around the device itself, it's got playback buttons on the right side, and it's got the volume controls on the left side as well as the micro SD card slots. On the top it's got an LED which shows you whether it's charging or when it's on, and it's got the power button. Okay, as you can see, if you press the volume buttons, the volume doesn't go up and down. That's because in the settings, I've gone ahead and I'll go through all of this in a bit, but you can probably tell how crappy it is. If you go into the play settings here, I've got the brightness on maximum. You've got the max volume which is set to 0, and that's why it doesn't go above 0. And the reason I did this is because no matter what you do on this, it doesn't change how the audio sounds. So you can turn the volume up and down, and you can turn the EQ on as well, or the MSEB. It doesn't change anything because this is acting as a transport and it's a pure audio output device. So when you got something like the Chord Mojo or the Hugo 2 connected in, there's nothing you can do that's going to change the audio quality, with only one exception, and that is the DSD output. Now you can output as PCM, which is going to go out as I think 88.2 kilohertz or maybe 48, or you can just leave it as DOP or native, which is going to output it as DSD, and the Hugo 2 does show it as white, so that's working perfectly. So with that, no matter what you do, it doesn't change the audio quality because it's not resampling it or anything. So it's going purely through the USB cable to the Hugo 2, and that's what you kind of want from a device like this. So let's go ahead and show you the menus. I'm just going to zoom in. Now the screen on this is a little bit small, but it's not that bad. The only problem I have with this is that when you're browsing around and everything, it can be a bit slow at times. So right now it's fast, I guess. I'm in pretty decent speed right now, but I think if you're playing a really high res file or something, maybe it's to do with the USB output. So when it's outputting through USB, it gets a bit slow at times. Now I was playing some DSD files out of this, and it was running a bit slow, you know, sometimes. I don't know why it does that. Shuffling the songs has no problems if you go on the category and all of them. So it's got 11,768 tracks, and it doesn't have any problem shuffling them. So this is the main menu over here. You've got this is just like HibiOS because it is HibiOS. So one thing that I was surprised is that with the Shanling music players, when I moved over to this, there's actually no difference in whatsoever. It's just the menu that's a bit different. It's just laid out a bit differently, so it's working with the touchscreen. You've got the browse, which is like your file manager, and then you've got the category, which is just like your music application. So you've got, you know, your artists and your genres and everything over here, just like in the file manager, because I've got these set out the way they are. So Bluetooth I haven't tried, but I'm pretty sure that works. And then MSEB is the sort of a different way of EQing your sound. But this doesn't work through USB, and unfortunately the V1 only has coaxial out and USB. So as far as I know, I don't think there's any way to get this working because it doesn't work. The V1A on the other hand, which has the analog outputs, it'll probably work on those. So I tried turning these off and on and everything, but it doesn't change the sound, so can't really test that. It might actually work with the Dragonfly USB DAC. So yeah, there's that. I haven't got that right now. So there's the EQ, which also doesn't work on the there we go. So you've got EQ, which doesn't change the sound, so there's that. Then you got the play settings, and this is again just like the Shanling music players. The option selection over here is the same, so you can actually turn this into line out mode. But this only works, I think, with the V1A, so this one doesn't have anything to do with the analog parts. You got the resume position. It's got gapless playback, play through the list. You've got DSC output, maximum volume. You can turn all this to the gain doesn't work, I think. Okay, when I updated the operating system, the firmware on this, it was the same as with the V1A, so they both come as the same file. So one firmware for both of the music players or devices, and so that's why it's got the other options over here. And you got playthrough folders or albums. That's to do with the file manager. So when I had that on, it would go to the next folder and play the next album. I didn't want that on. And then you've got the settings, which are the normal music player settings, and you've got, you know, your language, you got your music update database, which I don't want to do because it's going to take years. You got the low power mode, which reduces the power consumption. I don't think you need that on because the battery life on this is really long. You got the color scheme, you can change the color on that. I've got it set to this pinkish or whatever, it looks nice. And you can change the font size. You can all these options, obviously. I should actually go on, I forget it. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just like the other music players. And obviously I've got version 1.5 now. It's showing only 500 gigs of storage because it's only reading the top micro SD card slot. So the one at the bottom is not going to show up over there. Now if you're playing something, it'll show up down here. You can swipe right to get to the playback screen, or you can just click on this and it'll go there as well. Now over here, since the screen is a bit small, they've shoved everything into this plus icon over here. This will show you the options over here, so you can go on properties and that will show you the properties of the file. So that's a really low quality file. And you can change the playback, so you can go on shuffle, put it on shuffle. Normally I listen to albums, so I've got it on playing through the list, and you've got the amount of songs that you've got on. So it's shuffling all of them right now. It's going through, and if you go on to shuffle, you can go ahead and shuffle it. If you go ahead and press the forward, press and hold the forward and backwards key, you can't scrub through it as well, so that's pretty nice. And these do work. Again, you know, when I was using this with DSD output and everything, it was a bit slow. So when I pressed pause, you have to wait for it to process the other things, and then it would pause later on. But it never stopped playing it properly. Like, everything was capless and there was nothing bad about the sound quality. You can go ahead and swipe up over here and you can change the brightness. So as you can see, I mean, is again, you know, it sort of starts lagging behind. You can go ahead and turn the Bluetooth on and off. I don't use that. You can change the gain, which doesn't affect the volume, and you can change the USB mode from here. You can change the volume up and down, but as you can see, it doesn't change on the top over here, and that's because it's disabled. I've got it on maximum 0. If you go ahead and press this, you can turn the sleep timer on. I normally use this for 1 hour, so when I'm trying to go sleep, you know, I can put this on automatic timer. It'll turn off, and then the Hugo 2 will automatically turn off after 10 minutes. Okay, let's talk about the display over here. At first I didn't really like it, but I think it's alright. The color scheme on the album art is a bit weird. It's compresses the output range from 0 to 255 to 16 to 255. So it does look a bit washed out and all. If we go on to, let's go ahead and go on to Queen down here somewhere, and go on Night at the Opera, your favorite song. Here it is. Now this color here, that white, it doesn't look like a really good white in my opinion. If you go on a different album, it does show the cover arts over there. That doesn't look so bad. I use it at lowest brightness and it's still pretty bright. Yeah, it doesn't look bad, but I don't think it's the colors on this, they're not really, that looks pretty nice, but the colors on the screen, I realized later on that, you know, they're not really as good as some, especially this album right here. So everything is a bit too dark. I don't know what it's doing. I mean, personally, again, I don't really mind because it looks fine to me, honestly. I don't really have a problem with it. If you go into category and if you go into albums, now I wish over here it would show you, you know, as big 4 square boxes. That would look nice because you'd like to see the album. So over here, you go. Now I'm telling you, this thing does get slow. I think it's because I'm not using my Hugo 2 right now. It's probably being fast. Let's go ahead and click on view album. You can see that it goes straight to the album, but this is opened it as like another window inside here. So, you know, so if you go, yeah, I mean, it's pretty nice. Honestly, I don't know what to say. I mean, it works perfectly fine. It supports everything, even ISO files and DSD and everything. And if you go on to properties, it'll show you all the stuff over here. So it's FLAC, garbage quality. Oh, I'm actually on the album right now. If we go on to all, you got The Godfather, and that actually looks pretty good. Properties, so that's MP3. Yeah, I guess not bad, whatever. Oh, so that's DSD. So that's an SSCD, I believe, and this is the Rolling Stones. So that's playing it. It's pretty nice. It plays everything, honestly. This is the soundtrack from, yeah, the Dune soundtrack. Pretty cool. So what do I think? This thing is really cheap. One of the reasons I actually got this is because of the 2 microSD card slots, and you know, it works perfectly. I love what it does. It's what I got it for, and it does that. Honestly, I don't really have a problem with this. There's only one problem that I can find, and that is that it's a bit sluggish at times. Even with the low power mode off, which I never really use. I mean, usually at first we would never really use it now. Now, one thing that I'm not sure about is the output quality limits. So on the website, it does say, I mean, in the instruction manual, it does say USB out up to DSD 128 and PCM 384 kHz 64-bit. But on the website, it says up to through USB up to DSD 256, and then the same with PCM. So, you know, the information is a bit wrong. And also it's the same with the battery life. On some places it says that it's up to like 10 hours or 15 hours if you're not using Bluetooth. And then on the pictures on the website, it says it can go up to like 30 hours. Now, as far as my experience goes with the battery life, if you're using this with the USB out, no, not right now. If you're using this with the USB out with the Hugo 2 or something, it's going to easily get you like 20 hours or something. It can go even longer than that. The battery life is really long. I had to charge my Hugo 2 like about 2 times before this thing ran out, so that's pretty nice. One of the things with the charging is that it shows purple or pinkish when it's charging, but it doesn't stop. The pinking LED on the top, it's blue right now, but it doesn't sort of change or stop it. So, you know, I left it on for charging for 4 hours because I was charging the Hugo 2 as well, and I came back and it was still on, so I was got a bit worried or something, you know, what's going on. But I pressed the power button and it showed that it was fully charged. So I don't know whether it stops charging or not. Can't really say much about that, but honestly, no problem with the battery life. You got 96 kilohertz. I mean, it plays everything. He's one of my favorite artists over here. Okay, so yeah, battery life is pretty long as well. So anyways, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. If there's anything I missed out, I'll go ahead and answer it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in another video.